I'm going to keep these short because you've already been subjected to a lot of my words in that tab. At any rate, we'll start with the two representatives from Ashtabula, Willie Miller. Willie, a 1962 Ashtabula graduate, started at end and kick returner for Coach Tony Cicero. Willie?
First of all, I'd like to thank the Touchdown Committee, Mr. Tony Cicero and Mr. Denny DeGennaro. And also, I'd like to thank Chris for his articles in the paper. He did a very good job on that. This award comes at a good time because I was having trouble with my grandkids. They didn't believe that I played football. I would show them pictures, but they kept saying, no, that's not you. So maybe now they'll believe that I played a little bit of football. I had a longer speech made up, but they wrote the letter, and I got the letter, and the letter said that these ceremonies have been going a little bit too long, so make it short and sweet. So once again, I just want to thank everybody for coming out, and God bless you.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank the Ashtabula County Foundation for inducting me into the Hall of Fame. I'm truly honored to be able to join some of the best players in Ashtabula County. I'd like to congratulate all the high school athletes and their coaches for their successful seasons. I'd like to thank my family, who, without their help, none of this would have been possible. They are my parents, Steve and Millie, brothers, Steve and Dorothy, Bob and Carol, Mike and Molly, my sisters, Catherine, Betty, Shirley and Don Lepinen, Willie and Dick Olson. I'd like to thank my wife, Jan, my daughter, Jackie, and my granddaughter, Eloise. I had outstanding coaches who taught us the fundamentals of the game, the discipline, leadership, motivation, drive, and work ethics to be successful. They were Bob Davis at West Junior High, Tony Cicero, head football coach at Ashtabula, Gene Gephardt, Randy Pope, John Warner. We were taught that Ashtabula had a winning tradition growing up. Football is a team game. You need great coaches and great teammates who have to do their job on every single play for a team to be successful. I share this award with my 12 classmen. They are Andy Nappy, Pete Sardella, Bob Talbot, Phil Fain, Billy Smiley, Bill Howell, Walter Crump, Eddie Cheatwood, Joe Pedro, Dennis Irby, Russ Wiegraff, Tom Coleman, Larry Alberts, Hall of Famer Alvin Benton, Jerry Lyons, and Mike Batillion. As a sophomore, I punted and then was a tight end and a defensive end. As a junior, I played the same positions. As a senior, both of our running backs got hurt, and Coach Cicero switched me to play tailback. With that move, I believe I got a full scholarship to Ohio University. I played at Ohio University for 4 years, varsity 3 years, lettered 2 years as a wide receiver and a tight end. Returning to Ashtabula was very important to me. My mom, my family all lived here, and my friends all lived here. I've been employed for 43 years in the automobile business, the last 17 at Great Lakes Auto with John, Joey, and Jim Partridge. And I'd like to thank them because they're here. I now enjoy playing golf with my brother Mike, who's also a Hall of Famer. Sorry. But most of all, I like to spend time with my wife, Jan, my daughter, Jackie, and my granddaughter Eloise. To the young athletes, stay focused and keep dreaming, because sometimes they come true. Thank you.
Good evening. I'd like to thank the Ashtabula County Touchdown Club for all their hard work and honoring the student athletes here in Ashtabula County. Also, special thanks to Hop Ladner, who had been nominating me for the past few years to be inducted tonight. And Hop wasn't able to attend, but thank you, Hop. I was very honored to find out that I was going to be inducted into the hall, but I got to be honest. I was talking to my mom over dinner, and I said, "Mom, I'm very happy to be inducted," and she was obviously very proud of me. And I said, "But, I live in Florida. It's going to be the middle of winter, and going to miss a couple days of work." And that went over like a lead balloon, as you can imagine. So after a lengthy conversation with Mom, she educated me like most mothers know how to do. So I'm here tonight. Thank you, Mom. And I realized through our conversation that the award is partially about what I was able to accomplish on the field, but most of the accomplishments were because of the support staff that you have as an athlete playing sports. And even today, I have people here supporting me. I've got good friends, Joe Terry, Danny Sullivan, Dino Giulio, Mark Wheeler, previous Hall of Fame, my mom, and Lenny, her husband, and Donna Makinen. And thank you to the Makinen family for feeding us pizza after games. It made it better when we lost, but it was still very good. Thank you. So I'd like to accept this award on behalf of all my teammates, coaches, good friends who supported me throughout my high school career. Special thanks to my family, Jim Bonnell, God rest his soul, my mom, Leone, my brother, Ted, and my sister, Lenny. A couple comments to the athletes. And as you get older, you'll realize it and you'll appreciate it a little bit more. Sports is a great education. Teaches you how to be a competitor. You learn discipline and teamwork. And no matter what you do the rest of your life, those traits will help you in whatever you end up doing. And lastly, the relationships that you make while playing sports can last a lifetime. In my case, most of my closest friends are the guys that I went to high school with and still spend a lot of time with. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, Jay. Next, we have Tim Blood, another Conneaut graduate, this time from 1983. Tim was a running back for Spartans coaches Tony Nunes and later Steve Nolan. Tim?
Hello. I want to say thanks to the Touchdown Club for recognizing me. For me, this has always been about my teammates and the coaches. I guess going back to the Little Greater programs, those guys that spent all those hours, teaching us where the 2-hole was and the 4-hole, and just the fundamentals of the game. And into the junior high and into the high school years were very special to me. I'm very honored to be here. And I'm very nervous right now. So I guess what I'd like to say most is my teammates, that, I'm up here accepting an award that I feel they're as deserving as I am. So I hope that they understand that and hear me say those words, because it's never been about me, it was about the team. So, I carry a lot of the values that we had through all those years. I carry them with me today. So I'm very proud to be standing here and very honored. And, I'd like to thank my parents and my wife. And thank you very much.
Thanks, Tim. Next, we have Matt Kanicki, a 1988 Edgewood graduate, who is an offensive tackle and linebacker for Dave Miller Agnew. Matt?
Thanks, Chris. I'd just like to start by saying thank you to the Touchdown Club Association for this induction and congratulate the rest of these gentlemen and all the high school athletes here tonight. When I was contacted by Dave Miller Agnew, who was my head coach, I thought about what football had meant to me as I had grown up and sat in these seats. And I reflected a lot back on my mom and dad and all the support that they gave us. And a lot of people who know our family know the history of my dad of playing 11 years of professional football. And a lot of people would think that he would have forced me and my brothers to play football, but he never did. He always gave us the opportunity to figure out that we wanted to play on our own. And then he had a few rules were that if you were going to play, you were going to play hard, you were going to be a good teammate, and you were never going to quit. So I was blessed to have great parents. And moreover than that, I was blessed to have 3 older brothers who gave me some real good beatings in the backyard when I was growing up and taught me what tough was and what aggressive was. And that was the foundation of a lot of the ways we played football. So I was also fortunate to come through Edgewood at a time when the program was turning around. They hadn't had much success in the early 80s. And then in the 85-86 season, I had an opportunity to play 1 year with my older brother, JT. So I have a lot of great memories about that. And then play on the 86-87 team, which there were a lot of great players on that team. Lou Wisnai being one of them, who's here tonight. Brad Petro, Chris and Casey Allen. We were just blessed with a lot of great players and a lot of great coaches. Dennis DeGennaro's here tonight. He was our offensive line coach. Mike Cato, Jay Corlew, Bob Fry. We just had a wonderful staff along with Coach Miller Agnew, who I can still call a friend today and had a large influence on my life. So I was fortunate that I was able to go away and play college football. I looked at a couple Division III schools and settled on Division II school. At the time, it was NAI Division I, making the conversion to Division II NCAA Fairmont State. Had the opportunity to play down there, and as Coach Henson said, there's good football played at those Division II schools, very good football. And I can testify that there was guys from Ashtabula County who were playing there when I played against Edinburgh every year, and they were outstanding football players. So at the end of the day, I thank God for football. I thank God that it landed me at Fairmont State, because in the spring of 1992, I met a girl by the name of Jara Padlow, who's now Jara Kanicki. And without football taking me to Fairmont, West Virginia, I would have never met her, and she wouldn't be the most wonderful wife in the world. And my kids are laughing at me out there. and the best mother in the world to my son Mylan, who's 15, my daughter Mateo, who's 14, and my 8-year-old McCade. So I've been blessed. Football's given me a lot, and I'm thankful for it. So thank you very much, and have a good night.
Good evening. First, I'd like to thank the Ashtabula County Touchdown Club for nominating me, and it's quite an honor. I'd also like to congratulate the rest of you people being nominated. It's an honor to be standing up here and being recognized for a game that we play, that we enjoy so much and love. And it's hard to believe I'm up here after 40 years ago, but it's always good to remember those days when we did play, and just an experience you don't forget in life. And we learned a lot in them days, and I was blessed to have good coaching staffs and teammates. I was fortunate to play under the coaches of Coach Herpy and Coach Kohler, and they taught me many things, how to work hard, teamwork, and brotherhood over the years. And since I try to instill that to my children, I got 4 wonderful children. I got 2 beautiful daughter-in-laws and 2 wonderful son-in-laws, 3 grandbabies, 1 on the way. And life is good here, and I've been blessed with a wife of 40 years, and life is good here. So thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you, Kim. Next, we have Mark Belizia, our second Geneva selection. Mark graduated in 1984 and was a running back for the Eagles under Bob Herpy. Sue Herpy will accept Mark's award.
As you can tell, I'm not Mark. Mark had a work commitment he couldn't get out of, and at the last minute called and asked me if I'd step in for him. If Mark were here tonight, he would thank his coaches, his teammates, because without them, this isn't possible. Those of you who are sitting out here, think of what these people are saying up here. It takes a lot of hard work to get to the point that they're at, but when you listen to what they've actually said, it's the friendships, the camaraderie, that lasts your lifetime. And as Coach Henson said, enjoy your high school years because do as much as you can because you won't get them back. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Our representative from Grand Valley this year is Tom Henson. Tom, as most of you know, died of brain cancer last May. He was a graduate from Grand Valley in 1966. He played quarterback there under one of Joe Schoaf's first Grand Valley teams. Today, Tom is represented. We're very fortunate. We have 4 representatives, I understand. His wife, Carla, and his daughters, Kim, Kelly, and Crystal.
First, I'd like to congratulate all the student athletes and coaches on their seasons and to all the inductees into the Hall of Fame. I'd like to start by thanking the Touchdown Club and the selection committee for this wonderful, heartfelt honor. Anyone who knew Tom know his reaction. I don't deserve this, he'd say. I didn't do anything special or different than anyone else, but his induction means a lot to me and my family. I was sitting in Tom's office at our house the other day and was glancing around the room. Right inside the door hangs a crucifix, and you know how important Tom's relationship to God was to him. As the chair swiveled from left to right around the room, my eyes passed by a litany of pictures on the walls. It's a treasure chest of pictorial memories of our children, grandchildren, and the pictures of teams he coached throughout the years at Grand Valley. As the chair spun back to the starting point at the door, my eyes were drawn to a photo with the words, "Every dream begins with a dreamer." Tom dreamed big, not just for himself, but for his family, for the Grand Valley community, and for everyone he taught, coached, and mentored throughout his life. Over 4 decades, Tom coached multiple sports on different levels, won a lot of games, lost his fair share, hung championship banners on a wall, and went through the necessary rebuilding seasons. But the most important legacies aren't made on win-loss records and how many trophies you put in a case. The most important legacies are based on the people you help, the lives you touch, and the relationships you've made. I remember the day we skipped an alumni banquet to take a drive to a sporting goods store for a player who needed a pair of shoes, football spikes, because he couldn't afford to buy them. Giving a few dollars to someone who didn't have money for lunch or at a concession stand was never an inconvenience. Opening the gym or weight room early on a weekend morning in the summer, Tom was glad to do it. Better than any paycheck Tom could ever got was a phone call, a letter, or a visit from a former student who took time to say, "Thank you, Coach, for everything you did for me. You made a difference." Not long before Tom fell ill, he and a friend met in the hallway at the school, and the topic came up of cancer and how it had affected both of their lives. Not knowing he would be diagnosed within a matter of weeks, Tom said whenever his time came, whether it be that day or in the distant future, he would have no regrets with how he lived his life. He had everything he had ever dreamed of, a loving family, an occupation that made him look forward to work every day, and a close relationship with God. No matter when he was called, he was ready. His soul was fulfilled. Tom loved his family. His daughters, Kim Triscutt, Kelly Henson, Crystal Force, Our son-in-laws, Paul Force and Tom Triscutt. Our grandchildren, Logan and Jordan Force. Our grandson, AJ Henson. And our granddaughters, Abby, Maddie, and Carmen Triscutt. He loved the Grand Valley community. The kids he taught and coached were his kids too, and he rejoiced in their successes and hurt with them in their failures. I miss him every day, but he has left so much of himself here. His family, his former student athletes, his passion for his alma mater, his pride in his community, and the dreams he had dared to dream, that he isn't truly gone. More than any one lost record or trophy case. This is the legacy I think Thomas left. And as much as I miss him, I am thankful for that. Again, thank you all for this wonderful honor and for being a part of our lives. Thank you.
First of all, I think we need to give it up again for the family, for being that strong, coming up here and giving that wonderful speech. He was a blessed man, having a loving, caring family like that, that put that together and talked about him in his memory today. That was wonderful. Going on to mine here, I'd first like to thank the Touchdown Club, Ashtabula County Touchdown Club, and in particular, Mr. Ed Armstrong, who was instrumental, I think, in at least nominating me. I'd also like to thank my family, which are spread across the country, but my wife is here tonight, who's a administrator for the Orange City Schools, Christine, and I have a son, Brian, who's a teacher now down in the Cincinnati area, a son, Kyle, who's in Florida working for Gatorade, and son, Brett, working with autistic children out in the West Coast, and my daughter, Taylor, who's a student at Kent State University. They have all been very influential in anything I've done in life. Prior to that, playing football, I'd like to thank all of my friends that helped me through all these things and throughout life. And I have some here in particular tonight, some of my best friends that were instrumental from early on. George Bucko, who went to practices with me in basketball. And we have Al Gates, who, middle of my life, kind of was the best friend. And then just recently, and Bill Olin, who played football with me at Harbor, and a lot of the guys at the table, Jim Henry and Willie Bradley. And then another one came into my life late, who was a football coach in Ashtabula County, and is here tonight, Mr. Rex Reigert, who coached with my coach, Jim Orr. I'd like to thank them for their support. Rex hired me as superintendent of the Madison schools, and I'll never forget my interview turned into a football interview. We started talking about the good old days at Ashtabula Harbor High School, and I felt very confident I had a good shot at the job after that. Rex at the time was the school board president. But those people were all influential, my wife and family and friends in my life. I'd like to thank all the coaches I ever played for and played against. And in particular, I'd like to thank players that have been supporting the new players in the area now, the group called the Ancient Mariners. If you guys would stand up, all the Ancient Mariners, they're very influential in working with Lakeside High School, and they're all great guys, former players at either Harbor or Ashtabula, and they give back an awful lot. So thank you, guys. And most of all, I guess I'd like to thank those players that I was privileged to play with. I played with a lot of great players. The one that's not here tonight, Terry Kaplan, they used to call him Psycho. And we jokingly say I used to get a lot of tackles because they were afraid to run to his side. And that's true. And James Henry and I had the hot corner where Jim Orr told us if anybody ever got a touchdown on our side of the field, we'd have to run 20 laps in full gear. We never ran one lap, so they must have run over Bill Olin a lot. But also, I just wanted to say, that those Harbor teams was a transitional years. When I went there, I remember going to games and watching Willie Miller and Mike Cato play. They were a couple of years ahead of me, and they used to scare the hell out of me. So I hope when I played, I scared the hell out of some of these younger players here, because this county is a hotbed for football. Always has been. It's a good blue-collar area where people know how to play the game and play the game right. And I'm pleased to see all these young men over here playing the game. You got great coaches in here, got great families in this area, and never apologize for playing in Ashtabula County. I've been around the country in different areas working in public education and in amateur sports. And I'll tell you what, they don't do it any better than they do it in this county when it comes to football. I'd like to leave you with just a couple of things as players. Actually, three things. And Coach Henson from Edinburgh mentioned two of them already, but I think it's worth mentioning again. When I played football in high school, I played offense, played defense, played kickoff return, played punt return. Never left the field. Bill Olin did the same thing. In recent years, it's become fashionable to only play offense or play defense or play something. Play the game, guys. Play the game. All it takes is getting in shape. If you're in shape, it doesn't matter how many plays you play. You have a limited high school career. I remember the days going to the YMCA on Saturdays with George Bucko, playing basketball all day, going to the Harbor Gym, putting on my basketball uniform, playing against Jim Hood and those guys, and they were playing on the opposite team now. We'd play all day long and then go play our Harbor game at night. Play all sports. It's good conditioning. It's good for you. The competition is healthy. And last but not least, I'll say this because sometimes as a school superintendent, I looked at the young athletes coming through our school district, and they're always looking for the next level. They're looking for the next step. And somebody told me this years ago, and I didn't really process it, but enjoy the journey. The destination will come. I got a full ride out of high school, went to Montana State. I ended up leaving Montana State because I was too far away from home. I was homesick, a lot of reasons. And I walked on at Kent State. And at Montana State, I was a big fish in a little pond. At Kent State, I was too slow to play secondary, too small to play linebacker. Plus that team happened to have a safety named Nick Saban, happened to have a linebacker named Jack Lambert, and had a tight end named Gary Pinkel. So that was a good team. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy those people as you meet them at the high school level, at the college level. Don't always worry about that scholarship. That'll come. The opportunity will come at the next level, as Coach said earlier. If you have the ability, college coaches will find you. Show them that you love the game, show them that you're enjoying the experience, and that you love life in general. And the rest will take care of itself. I'm honored to be inducted here with these gentlemen up here. Thank you, folks. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Roger. Next, we have Elmer Felt, but Elmer died in 1974. He actually graduated from Harbor in 1929. He played blocking back for the Mariners. Today, Elmer's son, Bob, is representing Elmer tonight.
Our family would like to thank the Ashtabula County Touchdown Club and Football Hall of Fame members for selecting Elmer Felt, my dad, into the Hall of Fame. I especially wish to thank Ed Armstrong for nominating my father for that recognition. And Ed was my basketball coach back in the 60s. And Chris Lyric, he has the gift of writing. What a wonderful write-up he put into the Star Beacon, which and that article detailed a picture and a feeling of what football was really like back in the 1920s. I'd also like to take this opportunity to congratulate all the other inductees into the Hall of Fame. Like all the other inductees, I received a phone call from Chris Lyric regarding my father's induction into the Ashtabula County Touchdown Club. Chris asked me to put together information for an article for the Star Beacon on Elmer's football accomplishments. Upon receiving the letter and request, I realized I knew very little about Dad's accomplishments in football. I also didn't know if there was any information available back in the late 1920s. Dad really talked about his youth
regarding sports. I do remember him telling me that he played football, and he talked about the tough times and the teams that they played. I also remember he talked about playing in driving rain and snowstorms. I didn't know how I was going to provide information to Chris for the article on Dad's accomplishments. I found a great resource, though, at Harbor Topkick Memorial Library. I found old Harbor Mariner weekly newsletters back into the 1920s. And each letter had a section on the sports section regarding the year that sport was being played. I found most of my information in the newsletters for 1926, 27, and 28. I was able to provide the information to Chris for the article he needed, so I figured my work was done. On October 23rd, like all the other inductees, I received the official letter from George Bellios confirming my father's induction into the Hall of Fame. Congratulations on Elmer being selected as a member of the 2015 class of inductees to the Ashtabula County Football Hall of Fame. Then I got to the last paragraph. As a part of this program, you will be called to the stage for your induction and permitted to make a brief speech. I'm not out of the woods yet. My first thought I had when preparing was, what would my father say? He would say, make it short. As a good son, I was taught always to do what your parents told you. If you read the article in the Star Beacon, you know my father was a humble man and did not like being singled out for the things that he had accomplished. If you read the Star Beacon article, you know Dad's first commitment was to a strong belief in God and a life dedicated to loving and serving his Lord and Savior. His commitment established the basis for how he dealt with everything he encountered in life. He made sure he instilled that faith in us as we grew up. I'm extremely thankful that he instilled that faith in God in my brothers and me. Dad's second commitment was to his family. When it came to his family, Dad was dedicated to providing what we needed. The focus was not on the material things in life. He was committed to provide the things in life that sustained you in the times of hardship and troubles. He taught us two most important lessons: a committed faith in God and Jesus Christ, and a commitment of loving and relationships with your family. Dad's family legacy is represented by 3 generations sitting back there at the table. I said a lot more than my dad would have said tonight. My dad would have already finished and sat down a long time ago. But this is what I think he would have said. I accept your recognition tonight on behalf of all my Harbor Mariner football team members, because no one single person can accomplish anything really significant by themselves. Thank you very much.
First of all, Henson family, we appreciate everything you do for not only Orwell, the county, not only in football, but in the education. Coaches, you guys have set the bar so high for us to reach for, and we appreciate that. Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank the Touchdown Club for this introduction into this special group of not only football players, but special people. To my parents and my sister for all that their support and sacrifice throughout my school years. I was always a very focused athlete, which made me not the best person to get along with. And I thank you for your understanding and support in my goals. A special thank you to all my coaches. My earliest midget football coach who's with me tonight, Bill Corlett. There's a man who didn't have anybody involved in the program as a son, but was always there coaching a midget football team or a little league team whenever needed. So thank you. Special thank you to all of my teammates. Appreciate everything that went through the hard work and everything, and enjoyed that with you guys. Other players and coaches throughout the county appreciated competing against you guys, bumping heads with Louie and everybody. We really hated each other. And, we've got a mutual respect for each other now and get along great today. And we pass that on to our kids and our families. So thank you. Special thank you to the community of Jefferson and Ashtabula County, from team meals before the games to all the rivalry signs in the yards as we travel to away games. High school sports always brings the community together. Thank you to the Star Beacon and Gazette, our hometown newspapers. As I look through scrapbooks from the 80s and today's papers, we continue to have great coverage of our local athletes. You guys are very, very lucky. Thank yous to John Camp, Donnie McCormick, Carl Pearson, and Chris Larrick from my days, as well as Byron Wessel and Vince Bluso and all their staffs of today. Thank you for the great coverage, guys. Most importantly, to my current team, thank you to my veteran coaching staff of my parents, my mother-in-law, Phyllis McClure, and the never to be forgotten her late husband, Fred. These people have taught me the life lessons more important than any game I ever played. My wife, Sharon, of 21 years, who is definitely the team captain of the team. Thank you for all your support and giving me two beautiful children, my son, Matt, a freshman at Kent State Beulah, and my daughter, Molly, a junior outstanding student and volleyball player at Jefferson. I have been blessed to coach my son and have both my children go to work with me every day of their high school careers. These three are not just teammates today, but they will be my best friends forever. Thank you.
Because guess what? When you're a lineman, you don't ever get to talk. Quarterbacks, they were in front of the media all the time. You had to bring that up too, didn't you? We got you back though, didn't we? First of all, I want to thank the Ashtabula County Touchdown Club Committee for this humbling and honorable induction tonight. I want to pass along congratulations to everyone up here. You guys are all well deserving. Coach Hitchcock, legendary Bob Hitchcock. How many kids you got in the Hall of Fame? Along with yourself, right? Thank you for the nomination. I appreciate it. To my dad, who's here tonight, he's way in the back. My dad was, and you could ask Coach Parise, my dad never missed nothing. And the best thing that my father ever taught me was how to be a good father. Thanks, Dad. To my mom, she couldn't make it tonight. She had back surgery, so she's laid up. I've been a football coach now for 28 years. My mother is the ultimate football mom. If you were hurt, you weren't hurt. Get back in the game. But she also taught you how to laugh. And the thing that she did better than anybody, you could also ask Coach Parise if, at the end of practice, the end of a game, you were hungry, come to my house. There was pizza cooking. If you couldn't tell, I had a little bit. To my brothers, who were always around, always very supportive. I didn't drive until I was a little bit older, had a little bit of a car accident issue. It's another story. But anytime I ever needed something, those guys were always right there and helped me out anytime. Thanks, Billy. You're here tonight. Thank you. To my wife, Kim, who, by the way, reminded me on the way here that this is ancient history, being that it was 30 years ago. My wife is the ultimate coach's wife. She hangs around. She'll talk to you a little bit on the side and then tell you about all the crazy things you fans do. By the way, they'll tell you what's good and what's bad. To my daughter, Allie, who's here tonight, thank you. Allie is a wonderful singer. I tried to get her to come up here. She was not interested in that. My son, Bobby, I'd like to thank him. He's not here tonight. He's home playing sick. Unfortunately, I've been coaching and I have an opportunity to coach him. He's a sophomore at Boardman High School. And any coach in the room will tell you one thing. Best thing about sophomores is they become juniors. Can't wait for that. I also want to thank all the coaches that I've coached with in the last 28 years. A special thank you to Coach Dick Angle, who gave me, a 20-year-old kid, an opportunity to coach football at Urson High School back in 1988 when he didn't know me from anybody. I appreciate that, Coach. He's living large down in Florida. To Coach Brian Cross, who also is down in Columbus, I appreciate everything he's done for me. He came in and when I was a freshman, sophomore in my junior year, he taught us pride, discipline, and gave us direction on what it needs to take to be a winner. The other coaches I also want to thank are Bob Lundeen, Mike Hagans, Perry Nicholas, Randy Adams, Bob Schaefer, Jeff Petrilli, and of course, Coach Kim Parise. Coach Parise, anybody from Edgewood, by the way, put your hand up. All you Edgewood guys. Marvin Sperlazza gave me some good stuff on Coach Parise when he was a young man. So after, come on, sit back. I got some stuff for you guys. But Coach Parise was my line coach all 4 years I was in high school. He was also the head coach my senior year. One of the things that he did better than anybody I've ever been around in my life, he knew what buttons to push to get the best out of people. Coach, thank you. Thank you so much. Last but not least, I want to thank the brothers that I had on the 1984 and 1985 Palmerton Valley football team. I'm the 5th member to be inducted, so that tells you where we were talent-wise. We got a great group of guys, great people. And obviously, when you're a lineman, you don't get to do a lot of this stuff because your job is to hit people. So the people around you don't get hit. And then your reward is what, guys? You don't get to talk to the paper guy the next day, right? You read everybody else's name in the paper. Right or wrong? So this is the ultimate award. But it's because of those great people. Eddie Johnson, you're here tonight. The Mad Stork is here, Coach. I don't know if you saw him. Yeah. And then, of course, because of social media, I've had all kind of thank yous and blessings from guys that I play with, guys I haven't talked to in 25 years. Once again, thanks everybody. I appreciate it. To the young athletes out there, a couple things I will tell you. Number one, your academics is number one. It's very important. Number two, stay off of Twitter and all that stuff. They ain't gonna do nothing but get you guys in trouble. And number three, no matter what you guys do in your life, attack it with enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is the gateway to greatness. Thank you very much.
I still have nightmares of guys like that when I was running the ball in high school. Yeah, that's for sure. I want to thank the Hall for voting me in. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I have a few names that I would like to mention. First of all, it's my head coach, Paul Kopko, top notch. And Mike Savarino, Mike Nappi, Mike Valeriano, Tom McCoy, Bill Taggart, Perry Detour, Larry Larillo, Rick Ryle, Bob Rose, and my little brother, Bobby Janelle. These are the guys that made me shine. Without them, I was just a little guy running the ball. They were the best. I'd like to say we have anybody from St. John's, that attends St. John's here? Nobody. Okay, all right. There you are. God bless you. All I can tell you is going to St. John's was a tradition. When we walked in that school, we were just this little school playing against big schools, okay? So you have to hold your head high going to St. John's. When you walk in that school, that's what we did back then. I don't care what school it is. Just hold your head high, no matter what. I want to talk about 3 people in my life. The first person was my father. He was a very, very demanding person. A little Italian guy from Italy. He was tough. And I couldn't wait to go to St. John's to get away from my father. Then I met Paul Kopko. He made me want to go back home and see my dad. And my employer, Larry Larillo Sr., very demanding people, all 3 of them. Larry Sr. demanded the best out of his kids, and I'm one of them. So all I can tell you kids out here is, if your father or mother
gives you, wants the best or demands the best out of you, or your teacher or your coach demands the best out of you, or someday your employer does, all I can tell you is take the ball and run with it, because that's what I did. I thank you very much.